First contact, first blood. The Veldari Collective had conquered 17 star systems in less than a century. Their sleek, crystalline ships moved like predators through the void, bringing formerly proud civilizations to their knees. The Veldari philosophy was simple: overwhelm, subjugate, and integrate. No species had ever posed a significant challenge. Most surrendered after the first orbital bombardment. Supreme Commander Azil Vorn stood on the bridge of the inevitable dominance, his 4 silver eyes fixed on the holographic display of a blue-green planet rotating slowly before him. His exoskeleton gleamed under the ship's lights, the ceremonial scars of victory etched into the metallic plating that covered his torso. "This is the target?" he asked, mandibles clicking with barely concealed disappointment. "Yes, Supreme Commander," replied his chief strategist, Nexel. "The natives call it Earth. Preliminary scans show primitive technology, fractured governance, and limited space capabilities." Vorn's upper eyes narrowed. Another easy conquest. Indeed, the species calls themselves humans. They've barely left their own orbit, and their global communications are unsophisticated. Our infiltration probes suggest they're still fighting among themselves over resources and territories. "Standard invasion protocol, then," Vorn said, turning away from the display. "Disable their satellites, destroy their military installations, and demonstrate overwhelming force. They'll surrender within hours." Nexel nodded, her skeletal fingers dancing across the control panel. First wave deploying in 3 cycles. As the Veldari fleet positioned itself in Earth's orbit, they followed their well-established playbook. Precision energy beams lanced down from space, destroying communications satellites. Next came the electromagnetic pulse weapons, designed to disable electrical infrastructure across entire continents. The Veldari anticipated panic, disorganization, and the inevitable white flags of surrender. What they got instead left them bewildered. Within 6 hours of the initial attack, 3 Veldari scout ships had been shot down by what appeared to be hastily modified civilian aircraft. 2 landing parties were ambushed with improvised explosives. And somehow, humans had already established alternative communication methods, coordinating resistance efforts across continents. In the subterranean command center beneath the ruins of what had once been Geneva, Captain Nadia Chen hunched over a tactical display, her dark eyes intense as she tracked the alien ship's positions. Her short-cropped hair was streaked with premature gray, evidence of the years she'd spent building Earth's covert defense program, a program most world governments had dismissed as paranoid and unnecessary. Until today. "They're following standard orbital assault patterns," she said to the assembled military leaders from a dozen nations. "Textbook stuff, like they've done this so many times they've stopped innovating." An American general frowned. "How could you possibly know their standard patterns?" Chen allowed herself a tight smile. "Because we've been watching them for years. The Proxima Centauri outpost detected their communications back in 2037. We've had a decade to prepare." Stunned silence filled the room. "You mean to tell me," the Russian commander said slowly, "that your fringe project has been monitoring alien communications?" "Not just monitoring," Chen replied, pulling up a holographic display of her own. "Analyzing. Learning their tactics, their technology, their weaknesses. Why do you think I've been pushing so hard for the quantum mesh network, or the graphene armor program, or the M-resistant circuit designs?" Realization dawned on their faces as Chen continued. "The world thought I was preparing for human enemies. I was preparing for them." She pointed to the red dots representing Veldari ships. "And they think they're facing a primitive species with no space defense capability." She tapped her console, bringing up a new display. "They haven't found our orbital platforms yet, or our lunar base, or the asteroid belt installations." The French admiral leaned forward. "Mon Dieu, how did you fund all this?" "Private investors who believe me. Tech billionaires. Forward-thinking nations willing to contribute small amounts to a theoretical defense system." Chen's expression hardened. "We're not as helpless as they think we are. and were certainly not as predictable. Aboard the inevitable Dominance, Supreme Commander Vorn was growing increasingly agitated. What should have been a simple conquest was turning into an embarrassing slog. How are they still communicating? He demanded, slamming a clawed hand on the console. We destroyed their satellite network. Unknown, Supreme Commander, Nexel admitted. They appear to be using some form of quantum-entangled communication that doesn't rely on traditional signals, and their defensive capabilities far beyond what our intelligence suggested. Our ground forces report ambushes with weapons that shouldn't exist in a pre-galactic civilization. Some sort of directed energy pulse rifles, advanced armor materials. Vorn's expression darkened. They were prepared for us. It appears so. And there's something else. Nexel hesitated. They're not fighting like any species we've encountered. There's no central command to target, no predictable military doctrine. Every human group seems to be improvising, adapting different tactics based on local conditions. Chaos is not a strategy, Vorn sneered. With respect, Supreme Commander, it seems to be working for them. As if to punctuate her point, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Vorn whirled toward the tactical display. What now? Multiple small craft approaching. They were hidden in the debris field of their own destroyed satellites, using our destruction as camouflage. On Earth, Chen watched the operation unfold with tense focus. Squad Alpha, maintain your approach vector. Use the wreckage as cover until the last possible moment. The voice of Captain Marcus Rivera came through clearly despite being millions of miles away in a prototype spacecraft. Copy that. Their point defense systems are still focused planetside. They don't see us coming. Chen allowed herself a moment of grim satisfaction. The Veldari had become complacent after so many easy victories. They weren't expecting a supposedly primitive species to hide advanced starfighters among the wreckage of their own satellites. The Earth fighters, with their carbon fiber hulls and innovative propulsion systems that left minimal heat signatures, closed in on the Veldari command ship. They were practically invisible until they activated their weapons. Now, Rivera commanded. 12 spacecraft suddenly accelerated, unleashing a barrage of quantum-tipped missiles, weapons Chen's team had developed specifically based on their analysis of Veldari shielding technology. The alien vessel's defenses, calibrated to stop conventional weaponry, failed catastrophically against the phase-shifted attack. Explosions blossomed along the crystalline hull of the massive ship. Aboard the inevitable Dominance, Vorn watched in disbelief as his second-in-command ship began breaking apart. "Impossible," he whispered. Nexel's voice was grave. "Supreme Commander, we're detecting a power surge from their lunar surface. Some kind of massive energy weapon is." Her words were cut off as a blinding beam of concentrated energy shot up from the dark side of the moon, slicing through 3 Veldari vessels as if they were made of paper. The ships split apart, their reactor cores detonating in brilliant flashes of blue-white light. "Full retreat," Vorn ordered, his composure finally breaking. "Regroup at the outer system boundary." As the Veldari fleet frantically disengaged, Rivera's team executed the final part of their mission. Instead of destroying the command vessel, they deployed boarding parties, special forces troops in next-generation space combat suits. "Strike team deployed," Rivera reported back to Chen. "Operation Trojan Horse is a go." Chen nodded, tension visible in her shoulders. "Keep that ship intact, Rivera. We need their navigational data." And their commander. Within hours, the alien command ship had been captured largely intact, its surviving crew confined to secure holding areas. Chen herself took a rapid orbital transport to personally oversee the intelligence-gathering operation. Standing on the bridge of the alien vessel, surrounded by technology beyond what most humans had ever imagined, she finally allowed herself to breathe. They had won the first round, but she knew the war was just beginning. The ship's database contained star charts of the entire sector, and more importantly, details of the Veldari Collective's military strength. Chen studied the information with growing concern. This was just their standard invasion force. She murmured to Rivera, who stood beside her, a fraction of their total military capability. Rivera's face paled. "You mean there's more coming?" Chen nodded grimly. "Much more. The Supreme Commander himself. Once they realize we've captured one of their ships, they'll throw everything they have at us. Can we hold against that?" Chen stared out the viewport at Earth, beautiful and blue below them. "We'll have to. But first," she turned to the alien commander they had captured, a mid-level officer who watched them with a mixture of fear and defiance. "I want you to send a message to your Supreme Commander," Chen said, motioning for the translator device. "Tell him exactly what happened here. Tell him that humans don't surrender." As the alien reluctantly began recording the message, Chen added one final line. "And tell him that what he's seen so far, it isn't even our real military. He hasn't seen anything yet." The alien paused, four eyes blinking in confusion. "That's not possible. Our scans showed your full defensive capabilities." Chen smiled coldly. "No, they showed what we wanted you to see. The counterattack." Supreme Commander Azel Vorn reviewed the message for the 12th time, his claws digging into the armrests of his command chair. The human female was either insanely brave or telling the truth. Neither option was comforting. Analysis. He asked the newly promoted chief strategist who had replaced Nexel. "The human appears to be their military leader. Designation Captain Nadia Chen," the strategist replied. "Intelligence suggests she heads a previously unknown defense organization. We believe she may be telling the truth about hidden capabilities." Vorn hissed softly. "Impossible. We would have detected any significant military installations." "Not necessarily. Our preliminary fleet used standard scanning protocols, which assumed certain technological pathways. If humans developed along different lines..." The implication hung in the air. The Veldari Collective had conquered so many worlds following similar technological evolution that they had grown complacent. What if Earth represented something truly different? Vorn stood abruptly. "Prepare the Annihilation Fleet. I will lead it personally. This insult will not stand." 3 days later, Earth's long-range sensors detected the approaching armada, 500 ships, ranging from nimble fighters to massive dreadnoughts. At their center loomed the Supreme Dominion, Vorn's personal flagship, a vessel 3 times larger than any in the first invasion wave. In the Lunar Command Center, now serving as humanity's forward operating base, Chen studied the incoming fleet with a calm that belied the gravity of the situation. "They're coming in hot," observed Admiral Kwame Okafor, the former Nigerian submarine commander who now led Earth's deep space defense grid. "No attempt at stealth or maneuvering, just brute force." "Pride," Chen replied. "Their commander is angry. He's not thinking strategically anymore. He's thinking about revenge." "Good," said Rivera, who had been promoted after his successful capture of the alien vessel. "Angry commanders make mistakes." Chen nodded. "Exactly. And we're going to give him plenty to be angry about." "Admiral, activate the Artemis Protocol." Okafor's eyebrows rose. "Are you sure? We haven't fully tested the system." "No time like the present," Chen said with grim humor. "Besides, we need to show them something spectacular enough to keep their attention." As the Veldari fleet approached Earth's orbit, they braced for resistance, but initially found none. No defensive ships rose to meet them. No lunar weapon fired. The planet seemed eerily undefended. "Scan again," Vorn ordered, suspicious of the apparent lack of response. They must be planning something. Before his crew could complete the scan, the void around them suddenly blossomed with strange, shimmering portals, hundreds of them, opening simultaneously in a perfect sphere around the Veldari fleet. "What is this?" Vorn demanded. His answer came in the form of devastating firepower. From each portal emerged energy beams, missiles, and projectiles traveling at relativistic speeds. The coordinated barrage struck the Veldari fleet from all directions simultaneously, overwhelming their shields and defenses. Quantum mirror network. The tactical officer shouted. They're using some form of spatial folding to attack from multiple vectors. Vorn watched in horror as a third of his fleet disintegrated in the opening salvo. The humans hadn't positioned their weapons in space at all. They'd found a way to project attacks through artificially created wormholes, making defense nearly impossible. Evasive maneuvers, he ordered. Scatter the fleet. But the quantum mirrors adjusted instantly, tracking each ship regardless of its course change. It was as if the humans had predicted every possible response and prepared accordingly. On the moon, Chen monitored the battle alongside her command staff. Artemis protocol performing above expectations, reported the chief engineer, Dr. Eliza Wang. Spatial integrity holding at 94%. We can maintain the portal network for another 17 minutes before risking collapse. That's enough time, Chen said. Admiral Okafor launched the Thunderchild squadrons from hidden bases across Earth's solar system, embedded in asteroids, concealed beneath the surfaces of moons, and hidden in the atmospheres of gas giants. Humanity's true space fleet emerged. Hundreds of sleek vessels, incorporating both human innovation and reverse-engineered Veldari technology from the captured ship, converged on the disorganized alien fleet. Aboard the Supreme Dominion, Vorn struggled to comprehend what was happening. Where were they hiding all these ships? How did we miss them? Sir, his navigator interrupted. Many of these vessels appear to have been assembled recently, within days. They're using modular construction techniques we've never seen before. The revelation stunned Vorn. The humans hadn't just prepared defenses. They had created the capacity to build warships at an unprecedented rate, then kept that capability hidden until needed. As the battle raged across the solar system, Chen implemented the next phase of her plan. While the Veldari were distracted by the frontal assault, a small, elite team led by Rivera approached the Supreme Dominion using the same stealth technology that had succeeded in the first encounter. Boarding team in position, Rivera reported through the quantum comm. Ready to breach on your mark. Chen checked the tactical display one last time. The Veldari fleet was fully engaged, their internal sensors likely focused outward on the threat surrounding them. Execute, she ordered. Rivera's team cut through the hull of the massive flagship using targeted molecular disruptors. Once inside, they moved like ghosts through the crystalline corridors, their adaptive camouflage suits bending light around them to create near-perfect invisibility. Their objective wasn't destruction but infiltration. Using schematics derived from the captured ship, they made their way to the vessel's central data core, the repository of the entire Veldari collective's knowledge. Meanwhile, the space battle had turned decisively in Earth's favor. The Veldari, accustomed to enemies who fought conventionally, were unprepared for humanity's asymmetric tactics. Earth vessels would strike, then retreat through quantum portals, reappearing elsewhere. Automated drones sacrificed themselves in suicide runs against Veldari shield generators. Earth's lunar cannons targeted the aliens' propulsion systems with surgical precision. Vorn watched his tactical display with growing despair as red indicators representing his ships winked out one by one. We underestimated them, he said quietly. How could a species so young be so adaptable? The question remained unanswered as the bridge doors suddenly hissed open. Vorn turned to find human soldiers materializing as their camouflage deactivated. At their center stood a human male with dark skin and determined eyes. Captain Rivera. Supreme Commander Vorn, Rivera said through a translator, your fleet is defeated. Your position is compromised. Surrender now. Vorn looked from the human to the tactical display and back again. You've won this battle, he acknowledged. But the collective will send more ships, more soldiers. We are legion across the stars. Rivera smiled thinly. We're counting on it. Captain Chen sends her regards and a message. We've copied your entire database. We now know every Veldari world, colony, and outpost. We know your tactics, your technology, your weaknesses. A cold dread settled in Vorn's chest. What are your terms? Unconditional withdrawal from Earth space. recognition of Earth and its solar system as sovereign territory, and your personal guarantee that you'll deliver our message to your leadership. What message? Rivera stepped closer, his voice low and intense. That humanity is not like the other species you've conquered. We don't fight by your rules. We adapt. We improvise. We overcome. And if you ever return to our system with hostile intent, what happened today will seem merciful by comparison. Vorn considered his options and found them lacking. Most of his fleet was destroyed or disabled. His flagship was compromised. And these humans had demonstrated capabilities that defied Veldari understanding. I accept your terms, he said finally. 24 hours later, a single Veldari ship, the Supreme Dominion, limped away from Earth space, its once proud commander humbled but alive. Behind it floated the wreckage of the mightiest armada the Collective had ever assembled. In Geneva, now beginning its reconstruction, Chen stood before the United Earth Council, the hastily formed coalition of world governments that had emerged in response to the alien threat. They won't be back, she said confidently. At least not as conquerors. How can you be so sure? Asked the council president. Chen activated a holographic display showing the data they'd extracted from the Veldari ship. Because we know them now, better than they know themselves, and we've sent them away with the knowledge that we achieved in decades what took them centuries. They fear us now, as they should. And if other alien species come? Another council member asked. Chen's expression was serene but determined. Then they'll find us even better prepared. The Artemis network is expanding daily. Our shipyards are at full production. The quantum mesh now extends throughout the solar system. She gestured toward the stars visible through the council chamber's skylight. Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to face the impossible and adapt. The Veldari thought they were bringing war to a primitive species. Instead, they awakened a giant. In the depths of space, as the Supreme Dominion made its long journey home, Vorn composed his report to the Collective High Council. He chose his words carefully, knowing that the future of his civilization might depend on them understanding the truth about the species they had so gravely underestimated. His final lines read simply, Earth must not be approached again with military intent. The humans do not think as we do. They do not fight as we do. And most terrifyingly of all, they learn faster than any species we have ever encountered. Today they defeated our fleet. Tomorrow they may challenge us among the stars. The Collective has always believed in assimilating strength. In the case of humanity, I strongly advise that we seek alliance instead. For if they ever decide to expand beyond their solar system, I fear nothing in our experience has prepared us for what will follow. As Vorn sent the transmission, he gazed out at the endless void, wondering what other assumptions the Collective had made about the universe, and what other surprises awaited them among the stars.